Alright guys, so today I'm going to teach you how to work with bald caps. This is going to be the part 1 of a part 2 kind of video, or I might splinter off a few more, I'm not sure. But I have a Mad Max tutorial, and the first step is a bald cap. Okay, so first we're going to prep the area by cleaning it off with 99% isopropyl alcohol. This is going to remove any of the oils in the skin or moisturizer that'll keep the glue from sticking. Now the trick is to get the hair underneath to be as smooth as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and slick it back with a comb and then spray it off. This is also known as your prep. The smoother the prep, the smoother the bald cap. Now because my costume covers the back of my neck, I'm just going to tie it off when I'm done. You want to pay special attention to the area right above your ear, as this is one of the most difficult areas to make sure that hair doesn't come out of when you're putting the bald cap on. So I'm really slicking that back, but not just back and up. Once you're done with that, you're just going to go ahead and tie your hair off. This is a bald cap. A what? A bald cap. A what? Oh, a bald cap. No other drama nerds? None? Anyone? Okay, so I'm just kind of warming up the bald cap. Do not melt it, but go ahead and warm it up, stretch it out, because it's going to stretch like crazy once it gets on your head, so you might as well prep it a little bit. I don't know, at least that's what I do. So this was really hard. Trying to get it on my head by myself is pretty difficult. It's usually easier to do these on other people than yourself, I would say. So I'm just pulling that down. And then when it's pulled down, I'm gonna go in with a marker and kind of tell myself where I want the front of the hairline to be. So this is one reason it's easier to do them on other people. I can't really see what I'm doing, so I'm like Frankensteining it on over to my marker, and then I'm gonna draw the hairline on way lower than where my actual hairline is. See, the bald cap acts like a rubber band, so it's gonna pull back after you cut it, so you wanna make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of room for error. Otherwise, the bald cap is toast and you have to start over. So I cut it when it was off my head to make sure that any little tear didn't cause a rip in the entire cap. Just think about cutting a rubber band and then all of a sudden the whole thing would rip. That's what a bald cap would do. So now I'm just kind of placing the bald cap on my head and seeing where the hairline lines up. Don't worry if it pulls back a little bit because you're going to be pulling it way down. I kind of panicked, but it's not really worth it. Okay, so I'm using a glue called Prozade or Prozade, I don't know, a lot of argument about what it's called. And you put this glue on and then you can blow dry it. And once it's clear, that means it's dry, and then it's tacky at that point. Now, Prozade works best when it's treated kind of like Velcro, where you have one side, like ideally I would have put Prozade on the bald cap and on my head. But because I was putting it on by myself, I didn't really know how I could get all that to happen at once. So I just put it on my forehead and was hoping to stamp it. So I'm pulling it away from the glue and then kind of stamping it onto that to try to get the placement right. And then really pinning it down once it's in place. And I wouldn't anticipate being able to manipulate it once it's hit the glue. It's pretty much done. So another important thing about Prozade is that you want to make sure that you're not using your brushes because it will ruin your brushes. You cannot get it out. You also want to do a patch test on your skin because I know I'm really sensitive to it, so I had a rash after doing this, which is expected. I always get rashes from glues, even spirit gum, so whatever. Okay, so I'm putting a little bit on my face and on the bald cap. And then to speed up the process, I'm going to use a blow dryer to make sure that it dries a little more quickly. You have to be really careful that nothing touches anything else, otherwise it will stick at that point. So when you pull it down, it's really important to not just pull straight down. You want to pull down and forward, kind of like a check mark or a C shape or something like that, because you really want to make sure that there's no gap in the back of the neck, because then you'll have a big flap there, and there's really no way to fix that unless you want to cover it with a scar or some dirt. So yeah, it's like a facelift. So if you pull it too tight, obviously it's going to stretch out over time, but it can kind of act like a facelift, which was cracking me up as I was putting it on. So, just be cognizant when you're putting them on your clients or other people to make sure that you're not yanking their skin in every which direction and giving them basically a facelift via bald cap. So now I'm just doing the same thing on the other side, and once again I'm putting it on the bald cap and on the skin and then helping it dry with a blow dryer, but make sure you're not burning yourself or your clients. You can use the cool setting and the warm setting as well. You just want the air to dry it. And I would say try not to get it in your hair because it is difficult to get out. So now I'm just going to pull it forward and down, but make sure you pull it forward, and I'm stamping it in place. And now you just kind of do this all over until it's really nice and taut. So once everything is glued down, then you're going to go in and cut off the excess pieces. You can always melt them down with acetone afterwards, which is what we're going to be using. So this is cosmetic grade acetone, and you use this to melt the edges of a Glotzen bald cap. Now the reason that I like using a Glotzen bald cap as opposed to a latex bald cap is because you can use acetone to kind of really meld those edges into your skin. However, it does mean that it's much more fragile and that it's going to show the prep underneath. So another cool thing about using a Glotzen bald cap is that you can melt yourself the ear holes. So what this does is decrease the chance that you're going to put a tear in the bald cap by cutting it and having it rip all the way up. This is me playing with acetone. I forgot I had to cut there. Ooh! And that's me talking to myself and voiceovering it. So acetone burns, and I had a cut on the side of my face, and you'll see me flinching periodically because it really hurt. Really. Oh my God. It really hurt. So that's what happens when you use acetone. Whoa. But it does make for a nice finish. So once that's done, I'm just kind of going through and trying to pull my ear out of it. I'm not putting too much tension on the bald cap, but I am trying to get my ear outside of it. So when you cut the ear hole or melt the ear hole, you want to make sure it's much smaller than your ear. Try to trace that kind of hollow recessed part in your ear. And then you pull your ear through and it's nice and tight on the back of it, and that's good. That's how you do it. Then we do the same song and dance and drill with Prozaid, and we'll be pulling out the inside area of the ear. You'll see there you go. There, now it makes sense. Putting glue there and then putting a little bit on the skin, doing the blow dryer thing, and then getting it all to stick down. So that's pretty much what I'm doing the whole way through. I'm going to do it on the other side as well. You just want to make sure you keep it nice and tight to the ears so that the hair doesn't come out, and make sure that you're sensitive to the fact that acetone burns if you get it in a cut. Yeah. So I'm just cutting off a little remaining flap, and then I'm going to melt that edge with acetone. And I think that's pretty good. So once everything is where you want it, you're going to go in with a stippling sponge and latex. And you're just going to stipple a bunch all over your head to create texture and also to blur the edge. I think it's best to use something round, not necessarily with a sharp edge, because you don't want any deviation where the latex is to show. I'm also including a little on my ears as well as on my face. Just make sure that everything is blurred and that there's no real line of demarcation. And once the latex dries, you're going to go in with a sealer. I'm using Green Marble, which is an alcohol-based sealer, to spray it so you can paint it with whatever product you want. Bet you didn't expect that. Or that! Whoa! Just kidding. But seriously, if you want to check out these looks, go ahead and click on my face. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye!